Hello and welcome to Manchester Airport. I've just stepped off the train and today we're going to find out what it's like to fly British Airways post-lockdown. We're flying down to London today and we'll be comparing what the experience is like now against what the experience was like before the lockdown. There's hand sanitising points located throughout the airport and a clear one-way system in the tunnels between the terminals, generally keeping to the left of any spaces. It's a lot quieter here than usual. Walking through Terminal 1 and I feel like there's only me flying today. Even the lights aren't on. All of the shops in the Terminal 3 arrivals hall remain closed, but I did spot this mask vending machine which was quite reasonably charging £5 for a pack of 5 masks. As I headed up through departures, there was a sense of optimism that flights had started to return. It's still much quieter than it should be though, for the start of the summer holidays. I headed towards security. Manchester Airport have introduced a pre-booking feature for free, meaning you shouldn't need to queue if the queues are too long. 30 booking slot? You'll be fine. You start on there, is that alright? Cheers. It's really easy to book, you just choose your date and time, along with the flight that you're on, and then you get a 15-minute slot to turn up and pass through the security lane. Today the terminal was quiet, so no queuing at all, and I'm pleased to say that this is probably the best experience of security that I've had at Manchester. Multiple security lanes were open, and all well staffed and actually quite polite. I think everyone was just really happy to be back at work in the airport. I made my way through the once busy corridors into the largely closed departure lounge, very different to my last visit. WH Smith and Boots were open, along with the duty-free store. All of these shops had clear one-way systems in place. Unfortunately, the bars and restaurants remained closed, although plenty of staff were inside cleaning ready for their eventual reopen. Costa is also closed. One of the problems with wearing a face mask is the machine that checks your identity doesn't always work. Thankfully, the kind staff here at Manchester had left the gate open, so when the machine rejected me, I could just pass through regardless. The airport is still in the process of upgrading all its gates to be COVID secure. Here you can see gate 148 getting its screen installed. Before long, my aircraft arrived on runway 5 left, inbound from Heathrow. It's a fairly new A321NEO and it's my first time flying the type. It's a good looking aircraft, somehow the bigger engines make everything seem more in proportion than the original A321. After the demise of Flybe, Ryanair is the dominant player here in Terminal 3 right now. So even without the pandemic, there's significantly less traffic scheduled through the terminal. We're on gate 142 today for the flight down to Heathrow. Today's flight would usually board by group number, however this was suspended and instead the aircraft boarded by seat row number to aid distancing within the cabin. My booked seat today is 13F. Protected screens have been fitted to this gate, although they're not really fit for purpose, as these gates are used from the side and not from the front as fitted. Gate staff also took my phone to scan the boarding pass rather than me scanning it myself. As you can see on the right, there's no newspapers on offer, as would usually be the case. I'm the first to row 13 today, so I popped my camera down and stored my bag in the overhead lockers. On first glance, the floor area is filthy. There's crumbs all over the floor. The rest of the cabin though does look quite clean. I checked out the contents of the seat pocket as I read through the safety card, and the pocket was also filled with rubbish. Clearly the cabin hasn't been cleaned in between flights. Here's the safety card on this A321NEO. There's only around 30 people on today's flight, so boarding was completed really quickly. Despite the light load, I did end up with someone in the aisle seat next to me. Nobody was seated in the exit rows, and both me and my seatmate were asked to occupy them for takeoff and landing. More on this later. After some musical chairs, we pushed back 10 minutes or so early. Interestingly, the safety demo was done manually rather than via the usual comedic comic relief sketch.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will now demonstrate the safety features of this aircraft, and your attention is essential as these may differ from any aircraft you've flown on before.
We taxied out to runway 5 left at Manchester, passing by the runway visitor park where they have the latest version of the BAE 146 on display. Make sure you check out the video on this channel of me flying that type earlier this year. Every passenger was handed out a cleaning kit and a resealable bag. We'll check that out later in the flight. On the A321NEO, British Airways have two types of seat installed, unlike the rest of their European short-haul fleet. The first 14 rows of the aircraft are configured in the much more comfortable Pinnacle seats, the same as the rest of the fleet. These seats have more space at the top for literature, an adjustable tray, lower pocket and an adjustable headrest. They also feature at-seat power, with 2 out of every 3 seats featuring both a universal power port and a USB charging point, an upgrade on the standard seat. The forward 14 rows are reconfigured in this way as they are able to be sold as Club Europe, BA's European business class product. In my new exit seat, legroom is plentiful, but the seat just isn't BA. In fact, these Recaro seats are the same exact seats that you'll find on EasyJet. There's an unadjustable, quite small tray table, and a pocket just in front of your knees for your bits and bobs. You do get at-seat charging though in the form of 4 USB ports for every 3 seats, which is certainly an upgrade compared to the older fleet. However, the biggest thing you'll notice is the lack of seat padding, the smaller armrest, and the lack of adjustable headrest with ears. A minor inconvenience of the at-seat power is the boxes that occupy the middle seats just where your feet go, reducing legroom by a small amount. Anyway, let's open our cleaning pack and sanitise. In your kit you'll find hand sanitising gel and your antibacterial towel. Time to sanitise my hands, I think, and you get more than enough in the sachet. Something very unexpected next, complimentary in-flight catering in BA Economy. Every passenger was handed a pre-packed goodie bag. I was pleasantly surprised by this, as BA haven't offered complimentary catering in economy for years on European routes. Now, when I moved seats earlier, the crew very kindly let me stick my GoPro in the window of an empty seat. Let's go and see how that's doing, and whilst we're there, let's tuck into our snack pack. There's some posh salted crisps, the standard sour cream and chive pretzels, along with a tiny bottle of water. To eat and drink you do obviously need to remove your face mask, and this is where I become a little bit conflicted about today's flight. You see, I'm not going to complain about complimentary in-flight catering, but surely this encourages everyone to remove their mask and creates a mess. Does it not defeat the point of minimal contact and preventing germs from spreading? As I head back to my extra legroom seat, let's have a look at the Wi-Fi on board. First, connect to BA Wi-Fi on your device and then navigate to the Shop BA site on your browser. The landing page gives you various flight information, which is quite handy, and should you feel the need to purchase an in-flight Wi-Fi package, prices start at $199 for basic messaging, or $499 for a high-speed pass. I'm unsure if those prices are specific to this flight, but either way I think it's quite a decent and reasonable price. Soon enough, we've started our descent into a crowded Heathrow, so there's just time for a quick visit to the bathroom. As standard, there's soap above the sink, and the only noticeable difference is the inclusion of toilet seat sanitising wipes. Overall, the bathroom was clean and tidy. It was a bumpy approach into Heathrow today, with cloud obscuring the city views below. It's really sad to see so many parked aircraft, especially all the 747s that may never see passenger service again. Now, a big shout out to my mate Dom, a pilot who flies for Blue Air. He very kindly offered to film the landing for me from Myrtle Avenue and captured our landing on 27 left today. I've dropped a link to his channel in the description below. So how much was the flight today? Well, you have a couple of options on this one. You can either choose to take an Avios redemption flight, which would cost £37.50 and 3,300 Avios. And with this fare you do get 2 checked-in bags. The second option is to pay the full basic fare, which I lean towards as I don't really have a bag to check in. And the final option is to take the full fare and part pay with Avios, which I wouldn't really recommend, but on this occasion I decided to do it anyway, paying with 2,150 Avios to get £14 off the base fare, making my ticket today only £37. BA were very keen today for me to take advantage of the £49 upgrade for Club Europe, but I decided it wasn't worth the money on this short flight, so I continued to decline. Heathrow was still running single runway operations when I took this flight in July 2020, and you can see the big illuminated cross here indicating the runway's closure. So that was British Airways and what it's like to fly them post-lockdown. Let me know what you thought in the comments, and please subscribe for more videos like this in the future. I thought BA were pretty good there actually. It was nice that the cabin was pretty quiet, there weren't that many people around, so that does always help. But their policies are more akin to what I've seen EasyJet do. Make sure you check out that video if you haven't already. There's certainly leaps and bounds ahead of where Ryanair are. Ryanair haven't really changed anything at all. So I would definitely recommend flying BA post-lockdown. I think they do a pretty decent job of making sure that everyone's spaced out in the cabin, and they've also reintroduced some perks that you would have seen with BA a couple of years back, especially around those free crisps and a drink. Always nice. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.